Hello, my name is Brittany D. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello, 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 and thank you so much for joining us today and being here in this present now moment. Thank you for your moment. Thank you for your time. I'm very excited today. I have a guest on. His name is Joshua Micheal. He is a shamanic awakening mentor and truly he has amazing work. I love following his stuff online, and his breathwork techniques are just amazing. And I was like, dude, I got to get you on this, on my podcast. So I'm really, really super excited to have him on. And we're just going to flow and talk about awakening and breathwork and all the wonderful things that he's into, but also just a session and awakening and what it means to come back home, to come back to source consciousness. So thank you so much, Josh. I'm so grateful to have you on.
That was awesome. That was so great. That was better than I could have ever placed it.
Definitely not my first time.
Not your first rodeo. Can you hear me okay? Is the mic good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful.
So where would you like to start? What would you like to share with us about your journey?
Are there any questions present for you?
Not necessarily, just really like, I would love to know like what got you, because we all have our different things. We all have our different, like mine is, psychic medium, spiritual teacher. I love to teach people in class settings. And I love doing readings. I love channeling. But yours is definitely like the shamanic thing is a whole different realm. And same thing with the breath work. So like what led you to where you are now? Like where did this begin and how did you get to where you are now?
Okay, I can do that. So something that comes up for me first is a beautiful maestro. His name is Ricardo Amaringo. He is a ayahuasquero. He is a ayahuasca shaman of the Shipibo lineage from Peru. And something that he says is that the you could say not really belief, but the understanding of the indigenous peoples is shamanism. It's like a lot of people think of shamanism and they say, oh yeah, shamans, they do healing, they do plant medicine, and they do ceremony, and this is what they do, but this isn't what they do, right? That kind of thing. He says shamanism, there's no like, shamanism is how you do everything. It's like not just these 5 things and not these 6 things. It's how they do everything, right? And there's just like, he calls it, there's different levels to it. There's just like you go through 1st grade to 12th grade in college, it's like there's different levels to the perception and to the work, right? So the way that I got involved with where I'm at now is it started with the breath work. I was a touring musician in a band for about 4 years, and it started really in a funny way. I was like having a challenge showing up fully on stage, because I'm a vocalist, I'm a singer. I was primarily a singer in that situation. And I was having a challenge finishing all my, like I wrote these lyrics and I recorded these parts and the songs, and then on stage I'd like not be able to do them all and like not be able to like show up fully in like confidence on stage. So I was like, shit, I gotta like figure out how to like do all my parts and like sing what I actually recorded and all that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I got to vocal control. And then that turned into breath control. And then that led me to breath work. So I started to do breath work. And it helped me release the stage fright and helped me step more into like the power with my voice and the not the production, the confidence of like showing up on stage and not commanding a crowd, but like speaking to a crowd and that sort of thing. And then that turned into, and I've always, it's interesting. I feel like I've always been interested in spiritual stuff and that kind of thing. Like I remember I was like searching for Buddhism books when I was like 8. And I would always go to like the thrift store when I was younger, and like I would buy I wouldn't read them, but I'd buy all these spiritual books, and it was like always a thing, right? And then that turned into my first mushroom experience when I was on tour, and that really cracked me open a lot. And then that turned into daily meditation practice and more self-inquiry and like doing my work in that way. And then it kind of like culminated to this point where the band I was in got a record contract, and I could just feel it wasn't my path anymore. And I wasn't resonating with the group as much. And it was like, I would go to practice, and then it's like, okay, let's do this, and let's drink, and let's go to this bar and do this. And I was like, I just want to like go meditate and drink a green juice. And it was like, the split was happening. So then I left that. And then as soon as I did that, I started to dive even more into my breath work, and then a lot of shadow work. And then that's when more of the plant medicine path started to open up for me with ayahuasca and wachuma and more breath work. And it's been a beautiful journey. And that's kind of like the nutshell of like where I was and how I kind of got to where I am now.
So what was the second one? Machuma. I've had the blessing of Aya whenever I was in Peru, but what was the second one that you said? I'm not familiar with that one.
Wachuma. He also goes by San Pedro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the cactus medicine. That's funny because I just while we were waiting to figure out the issue on this podcast, which was my fault, I went and posted a video on Instagram, and it was breathwork that Wachuma taught me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. See, I think that because that's like the breath work has been, now I love singing. I'm not like a singer. I just love it. I'm aiming to hopefully develop my voice, but whenever I started going to a singing teacher, like pretty much like she was like, the first thing that we need to start with is your breath, and like bringing that breath up and being able to utilize it to move through those vocal cords, to project it outwards. And I didn't realize how important the breath was. And I mean, now I'm like, duh, when you're singing your breath, duh.
Yeah.
But at the time I didn't understand, like it really is a breath work you are doing breath work as you sing.
Yes.
And so, I started to kind of dive into it and learn about it then, but it's not necessarily like my thing. Like I love breath work and I use it here and there, but it's not necessarily like my thing, my modality of healing, my medicine. So it's just interesting that San Pedro would bring that into your reality, because that's what medicine's going to resonate with you and going to assist you. Like whenever I was with Aya, I didn't, she didn't present anything about any kind of breath work or those modalities, because it's not my medicine, So it's just interesting to kind of reflect about how they bring to you what you need. It's not overall for everybody.
Yeah, it's like in a video game, right? I played a lot of video games as a child. It's like whatever class you are, like you're a mage or you're a warrior or you're a hunter or whatever it is, right? It's like when you go to the shop or whatever, or you defeat the boss. It's like you receive the gear that is outfitted for your class. And it's like everyone can do the same journey and defeat the same monsters, but they get the medicine, they get the gem that serves them the most.
Yeah, absolutely. So where was your Aya experience? Would love to talk about
jungle.
Same.
Yeah.
Where exactly though? Did you go to travel, or was it in the United States?
Travel.
Did you go to
it was
Peru
really beautiful.
or Costa Rica?
I can't remember. It was a couple years ago. I can't remember exactly. I feel like, have you had the experience with the medicine where it's like, you like dive in really deep with it? Or at least for me, my first couple ceremonies, it's like it's like a dream that I don't remember fully.
Yeah, I guess to some extent. I remember most of it though, for the most part. I think it's actually the opposite for me. Like the first few I really remember. And then towards the end, I was like, oh yeah, that happened as well. Oh yeah, that came up in that. But the first few ceremonies, I really, really, really remember. They were really potent for me.
The thing that I remember the most from my first ceremony, like almost it feels like the most like clear thing that I remember out of everything was, did you, when you worked with the medicine, you were in Peru, you said? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Were you with the Shipibo or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So was there hape at that ceremony?
No, we didn't. I have had that as well, but I wasn't at that resort or that retreat center.
Yeah, the Shipibo don't really work with hape, but the Mestizo do, and the Santo Daime work with hape, and it's more of a Brazilian thing than it is Peruvian. Mm-hmm. And yeah, what I remember the most from the first ceremony is I was like in my spot, and then I like passed out or something, or just like left consciousness in that moment, and then I woke up or like came to on the opposite side of the room in front of one of these facilitators, in front of one of the guardians, one of the shamans, whatever, right? And I was like face down on the floor, just like
in
out
real
of
life
it.
or like
No, this
etherically?
actually happened in ceremony. Like I was like in my spot first, like laying in my mat, and then I woke up like face down on the opposite side of the room in front of one of the facilitators, and I was like just out of it. And then she like came down and was like, "Hey, would you like some hape?" And I was like, "Okay." And then I like sat up in front of her, and it was like the most like, have you had like a moment in ceremony where it's like, feels like a movie's unfolding and everything's slow and like this thing is like, oh my God, and it's just like really pronounced energy. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So I could feel my energy was all over the place. I was out of balance in a way. And like I was sitting in front of her, and then she like grabbed the hape, and she had this huge tepi. The tepi is how you serve others, right? Mm-hmm. This huge, like literally like huge, like at least a foot long tepi, like the jungle and the bone tepi. And she did her little blessing, and then she like brought it up to my face, and I was like, ooh. And then it was like, oh my God. And then she like served me, and I worked with it in the beginning of ceremony, but it was like my very first time. I wasn't on the medicine, and then in the medicine she served me, and it was like, mm-hmm. And then she did the second one, and I was like, and then I just felt it felt like a tuning fork, just like aligning my energy, and I was like, holy shit. And then I started crying, and then I hugged her, and she's like, can you go back to your spot? I'm like, yes. And it was like, that was Mapacho like introducing himself to me. And ever since then, that was like 2 years ago, I've been on a very deep path with Mapacho, and like it's like breathwork is my medicine, and then on the plant side, Mapacho is the one that I resonate with most. Yeah. For those of you listening, if you're like, what the fuck is Mapacho? Mapacho is the jungle tobacco from the Amazon. And it's really interesting, too, because I feel like whenever tobacco comes up in the Western conversation, they're like, oh, Marlboro, cancer, carcinogens, blah. But it's really interesting. One of the shamans that I've sat with before, she was talking about how there was a study, like a clinical scientific study in like 2011, 2012 in Paris, where they were studying the different tobaccos, and they had the Nicotinica Americana, which is the American tobacco, like the Marlboro kind of tobacco, and then they were studying the Nicotinica Rustica, which is mapacho, the jungle tobacco. And when they were done with the study, when they were done with analyzing the plants, the American tobacco, they found carcinogens, they found connections to cancer and all of that. But on the mapacho side, on the jungle tobacco side, they were unable to find even a single carcinogen or any sort of connection to cancer with the jungle tobacco.
Like nothing at all.
0 carcinogens in the jungle tobacco.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which just shows like all that shit's added.
Yes. It's all added because the jungle tobacco, shit, if you go to fucking, you were there, if you go to Peru or the Shipibo villages, the medicine people, they're like always chiefing, they're always with mapacho. They're always hape, like all the time. And like, it's so beautiful. It's a medicine. And there's like a Shipibo story where they were talking about, they have these like Shipibo stories of like how the medicines were found and how the path unfolded. And they say in one of the Shipibo stories that mapacho tobacco, because the plant spirits and all that are in the medicine, right? And mapacho tobacco, jungle tobacco, like was the first medicine the shamans found. And then he showed them how to find ayahuasca and how to use ayahuasca and how to use kambo and how to use sananga and how to make hape and how to do this and how to do that. And it was like, he was the one that opened that for them.
Wow, this is so interesting. I don't know about any of this stuff. Like,
oh, mapacho and I are like, oh my God.
this is my homie.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting too. Like, if you listen to it, it's like mapacho. And then we think of Mother Earth, Pachamama, right? Mapacho, Pacha. This has the same Pacho, Pacha. Yeah, exactly. Actually, something that came through one of my teachers is that he goes by Father Earth. So this will be like a big thing for people. Like, oh my God, because Pachamama is Mother Earth, but we never hear about Father Earth, right? Mapacho jungle tobacco is Father Earth. He is one of the plants on this planet that is 100,000% of the earth and holding the masculine point of the earth. He's the husband to the earth.
Okay, so what do you tell us? Now I'm like really, really super interested. So how often do you work with this? What do you like? Do you order this? Like, what exactly is the procedure here when you say that you work with, Father Earth?
So it comes in kind of like 2 main forms for me. There, you can order like just straight up mapacho, which is just the tobacco, and they kind of roll it up in these big logs, and they wrap it in like bamboo or something. I don't know what they wrap it in, but you can buy the logs directly from Peru. And then the way you use it is, it's not like a cigarette where you're inhaling it and smoking it all the time and bringing it into your lungs, because while there's 0 connections to cancer with jungle tobacco, it is 5 times the amount of nicotine as American tobacco. So it's way stronger,
potent.
like 5 times as strong as any cigarette. And the way to use it is you inhale, you pull it into the mouth, and then it's like a sage kind of thing. Like, you sage, and you're not smoking sage, you're using it on your body and you're cleansing your energy. So sage is like the soap and water for the energy. And then mapacho is the protection. And it's also very clearing and cleansing. But since he's the father of the earth, he's also, what's the father? The protector and the provider, right? So like smoking mapacho, you bring it into the mouth and then you blow it on your body. And like in ceremonies, I'm sure you've had this happen. This happens in all ceremonies. It's like whatever plant medicine ceremony, especially if it's Peruvian Shipibo, they're always using mapacho, right? And they have this thing called a soplar. It's S-O-P-L-A-R. And a soplar is where they take the mapacho and they blow it in the crown chakra. They blow it on your heart. They blow it into your prayer hands. They blow it down your shirt. And it's like to cleanse the energy and protect your energy and your vessel. So that's like the first form that you can work with mapacho in. And then the other way is, I God, there's so many forms of like working with mapacho. There's like,
tell us all the things.
and then the other one, which is more popular and more, I guess you could say easier or just a different form, is the hape, right? So, hape, for those who don't know, it's a shamanic snuff. So it's administered through the nose, through what is called a kurepe, which is a kurepe is a way you serve yourself. It looks like a little check mark of like a tube. And then a tepi, we were talking about earlier, a tepi is a tool used to serve someone else, right? And hape, basically what it is it's like this little powder. It's a snuff. So they take really strong jungle tobacco and they like pound it up, they grind it up, and then they take whatever tree that they feel that they're feeling called to work with. So like, and the different tribes. So like hape is mainly a Brazilian thing. And the tribes in the Brazilian Amazon, they all have their own they're all different tribes, and they all have their different recipes that Spirit has given them. So like a big one that you'll find in many different shops or like many different online spaces is the Yawanawa tribe. And the Yawanawa tribe, they primarily have the Yawanawa, it's called, so anytime you like buy hape or look at hape, there's usually two words or two names that are present when you're looking at it. So it'll be like Yawanawa Sunu or Sandazo Katukina or Huniquin Murichi or Poyanawa Jagube or some these types of things. And basically what all this crazy jungle words mean is the first word is the tribe that created it. And the second word is like the main plant that they added to the tobacco. So the hape, the shamanic snuff, is just tobacco and plants. So, and it's ashes though. So like the Yawanawa Sunu, I like to kind of start the explanation with the Yawanawa Sunu because that's like the, to make it easy to understand, that's like the vanilla ice cream of hape. It's very just like, it's just the vanilla, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not all these like chocolate and marshmallows and stuff. So the Yawanawa Sunu, it's the tobacco and it's this tree called the Sunu tree. And it's the bark of the Sunu tree. So what they do is they take the bark from the Sunu tree and then they put it in a fire and they burn the tree bark. So then you know how like ashes, there's like the really dark black charcoaly ashes and then there's almost like this white blue ash. Mm-hmm. So they take the white blue ash from the Sunu that they burn and then they mix that with the tobacco and then bam, you have hape.
Yeah, I have done hape in ceremony, I think one time. And I honestly just started crying. I became so, and the 24 hours after that, I was so connected with Mother Earth. Like I just wanted to lay with her and sing to her and like hold her. I was so grounded. Like that's the best word I can, like whenever I worked with Aya, like she did not ground me. She cracked me open. That's what she did.
That's her job. You know?
But with the hape, I was very grounded. And that's why when you were telling the story about how whenever you were out on your stomach, you know, and you were face down, and then she offered you hape, immediately I was like, he needed to ground his energy.
Yes.
Like he needed that, like you said, that tuning fork.
Yes.
So that's exactly what my experience was with it. This is really so did you just self-study all this information? You have a lot of information about this.
So some of it has come from like sitting in ceremony and like learning from different facilitators and teachers. And then most of it and a lot of it has come from the plants themselves. And this is something that like the Western mind will kind of be like, will take a minute to integrate with. Mm-hmm. Because like in the South American traditions, their teachers, the real teachers are the plant spirits, right?
Right.
And, okay, hot water, I'm good. Like, the teachers are the plant spirits. So it's like the plants are a consciousness just like our own, but they come in the form of plants and they have certain lessons, and different plants teach different lessons and that sort of thing. So a lot of this information for me has come from sitting with Hape and working with Mapacho and just holding this intention to connect with this plant and learn from this plant, because they're teachers, they're healers, right? Like a lot of people will work with Hape and they'll say, oh, I don't like Hape. It made me feel this way and I felt like I needed to throw up and I felt like shit afterwards. But really, and this is hard for people to swallow sometimes.
Yeah, that self-responsibility.
It's Hape does not do anything to you. Hape is showing you what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's like that because he's the divine masculine. He's the father. So you'll work with Hape and he'll be like, hey, why are you eating that? Why are you doing that? This is what you're doing to yourself. You feel how sick you feel? Bam. Right? It's very
absolutely.
like direct and strong. You know, you've worked with Hape.
Yeah. And Aya is she's also, I mean, she's feminine, but she's direct and strong as well. Like, she don't play no games. You can't run from her.
No. Yeah. One of my friends likes to describe like the different, like ayahuasca and marijuana, for example. It's like ayahuasca is like going into the darkness, right? And then she turns the flashlight on and she's like, hey, look at this. What are you going to do about this? Are you going to do something? Are you going to clean this up? Let's do something about this right now, okay? This is fucking you up, right? I love you. Let's do this. It's the tough love. And then marijuana is like in that same space, but then she's like, oh, let's just put a pillow. Let's just lay down. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Presents it, but is much softer, without a doubt. Yeah. Yeah, my experience whenever I did ayahuasca, I was in Peru, and actually it's kind of a really crazy story to even get to where I was at the correct place. So I flew down to Peru. I was going there for my birthday. I was going to be there for like about a month. And so the first week was designated to ceremony. And then I was going to hop around to different places, go to the jungle and just do different things. And so I'm like in my 20s. I'm still in my 20s now, but this is earlier 20s.
Me too.
I'm like totally on a budget. And all of these places to do ceremony were like, upwards of $1,000. And I was like, man, and I was willing to pay it, but I also was like just looking for other options. And so I found this place that was like in the hundreds of dollars. And I was like, okay, they seem pretty cool. This works or whatever. And I knew nothing about,
any of this.
Yeah. Any of this enough yet. And so then, we go there, we meet the guy. The plan was that we were supposed to pay the shaman directly. That was also something that I liked about it, was that it wasn't like going through somebody. It was like in a direct exchange. But then whenever we met him and he gave us the keys to the place and everything, he was like, oh yeah, the shaman told us to just go ahead and collect the money or whatever. And this was like days before ceremony. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird, but like, I just also want the keys to my place. Like, I just landed in this foreign country. I've never been here before. This is my place to stay. And I'm like, okay. And we'd already paid for like the actual place to stay, but the ceremony part. So anyways, I was just like, okay, here you go. Or no, what I did is, because I thought it was odd, I said, I can give you half of it. Like, I can give you half, but like, you told me that I was going to pay the shaman directly. So anyways, we gave him half of it. And so then we get there, the place is like total, like there's literally, we literally found like a cockroach, like crawling around. The beds are like totally beaten in. Like you could tell they just got these used beds. And like, it was just, I was like, oh my God. And so we were just, surrendering to it. We were like, okay, this is what we chose. We chose it for a reason, blah, blah, blah. And we were just in the experience. Well, now luckily, because Spirit, super, I'm just so super blessed. The night that we were supposed to have our first ceremony and the shaman was coming out to the house, he had something come up and he sent. This is a shaman that I like researched his stuff. Like I looked into him, blah, blah, blah. He, on the day of ceremony, he like sent, something came up with, he said with his wife or something came up with his family. And instead of just, rescheduling or not showing, because we were only there for like a limited amount of days and we'd already paid for the ceremonies, he sent in this like backup shaman, like this random dude just showed up at our door. They didn't tell us that they were sending a backup shaman, because we're out in the jungle where there's like limited Wi-Fi connection.
Are you in Iquitos?
Yes.
Gotcha.
They didn't inform us that something had come up with him. They just this guy showed up at the door and was like, "Oh no, I'm your shaman." And we were like, no, you're not our shaman. And so then we were like, okay, this is so weird. And we were like, dude, you gotta go. Like, this is not working. And then he was like, oh, I need money to get on the bus. Like, I came here to make money. Now I don't have, like, I used all my money to get here. And like, I was just like, this is such a weird situation. Like, this is not, I don't feel safe, And so then anyways, then the next morning, I was with my partner who I was with at the time. And the next morning, she was in a place where she was like, I just give up. Like, this place, I haven't been able to sleep in like 3 days. This random shaman shows up. Like, this is just not working.
Did you guys sit? I didn't catch that part.
What do you mean, did we sit?
Did you guys have the ceremony?
No, I was absolutely not.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I was not comfortable. I was like, this random guy show. I don't even know if you're a real shot. Like, I don't know you. I've never seen you before. I don't know, and I did contact the guy who like organized the whole thing, and he said like he sent a backup but I'm like, I don't know, that just did not resonate with me at all. Like, it'd be different if it was, hours before or the day before they're like, hey, something's going on with him. If I had a little bit, but just a random guy to show up and be like, oh no, I'm going to be the one serving you medicine. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Like, you're just a random dude. So anyways, the next day, my partner at the time, she was just like, I'm giving up. Like, I haven't been able to sleep in 3 days. Like, this random guy shows up. Like, this all makes me feel uncomfortable in a foreign country, and so, and I was like, no, that, like, I don't see that it's a giving up thing. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about, this is not where we're supposed to be for this experience. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all these things keep not aligning, and we need to just take the hit on the money and go to like a legitimate place. Like, we tried the whole like cheap route, the whole like just a couple $100 or whatever it was. And we need to just go to the legitimate place. And so she started researching, but she was like, all of these are so far, and we had to get there in an amount of time. And so I was like, listen, I think that today we should just go for a walk in the jungle. Like, we should just go for a nature walk. We need to recenter. We'll address this this evening. Like, let's stop the research. It's kind of like we were almost like in a frantic mode, to like get out of this situation. And so we went on a walk, and she kind of almost wanted to stay back, but then she was like, I'm not going to let you walk alone. So it was kind of like my walk in a sense. So I was just intuitively turning left and turning right, and just remembering like, okay, whenever I turn around, I'm going to have to go the opposite way because I have no idea where I am. And so I make this left down this alley, and we go all the way down the alley. And this is like a wide, like we're in jungle towns. Like, it's not like alley in a city. Mm-hmm. And then I make this small right down this path. And at the end of this freaking path, Josh, is this beautiful hidden getaway retreat center resort within walking distance. We're in the middle of the jungle in this random house, and within walking distance is this beautiful Kayashobo. And it was just, oh my gosh, whenever we walked in those gates, it was like Kayashobo, what do they call it? Retreat center. Yeah. And when we walked through those gates, the guy who runs the place just happened to be coming around on a little cart and walks up to us, and he's like, hey, who are you guys? And we were like, I don't know. We just stumbled across this place. We just had this really traumatic experience, and like, this place is beautiful. Like, you're a beautiful being. He's got his heart wide open, and he's like, oh my gosh, sisters, come in, come in. And they feed us and they nurture us. I know. Oh my gosh. Like, literally, they were just like, they just like took us in, and we were like, oh my gosh, we need to go back and get all of our shit right now. Like, we are leaving this place. We're getting all of our stuff and we're coming here. And it was the most beautiful ceremony. We had 5 days of ceremony, and the people the people there were just incredible, mind-blowing, amazing. Like, I'm still friends with them to this day. We still check in on each other, the people who run the place. And then I found out after, it was probably our third or fourth day there, that our shaman, the main shaman that held ceremony, was like this well-known shaman in Peru. They actually,
what's his name?
Akiros. They have a movie on Netflix about him. The movie is Akiros. And yeah, I'll have to send you the link to it, because it's one of those movies. There's like almost no words, but it's one of those movies that you don't, or documentaries, I guess it's called, that you don't understand unless you've done Aya. Like, unless you've had that experience, you just, like, if like my mom sat down to watch that movie, she'd be like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it's just not understandable. But basically, he just like explains, like, they walk through the journey of an Aya journey, but without words. Like, it's all just people moving and sounds and, emotions. And there is some talking, but it's very minimal. And it's like a whole 2-hour movie this way. But I mean, whenever I got home, after they said, like, you got to watch, this is your shaman, and he has this movie, you got to watch the movie when you get back. When I watched it, I mean, it just blew my mind. He is so potent. He's so powerful. And I had no idea that he was one of the, like, in Peru, he's like one of the top shamans. And we very literally stumbled upon this place, like walked into it. And I'm just so like, cool. Thank you, Spirit. Like, thank you, Spirit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that will always be my home that I return to for Aya, like, without a doubt. That place is amazing, and I recommend it to absolutely anyone.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was such a massive blessing. And he was super talented. Like, there was this, the purging process that happens. There was this one girl there, that she was going through, she had been there for, I think like a month or two. And yeah. And so I think this was like her 10th or 12th ceremony, somewhere around there. And she was really going through it, like, and not, I don't mean purging in like the sense of puking, like purging is in like, she was screaming and crying, and like, she almost couldn't contain herself. Like, you could hear her throughout the whole retreat center.
Oh.
And it was the craziest thing, Josh. Like I kid you not, you would hear her screaming and crying and like, having like a little like freak out purge meltdown, and then she would stop for a moment, right, for like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, and then you would hear the shaman walk out of the maloka and go puke and purge all of her stuff, go walk back in. She would go through her whole thing, and then he'd walk back, and it was just for like 3 hours he just kept processing all of her stuff, like just kept puking it up, and like really, I mean, he to me showed me like what a real shaman is, like what that really means to have someone that actually rides your ride with you. Like, he is in your boat as you are on this ride. Mm-hmm. It's not separate. Like, it's not like he's holding space for your boat. He's in your boat.
Yeah. And he's driving your boat.
Yeah. It's mind blowing. Like, he was truly the bridge between me and Aya. Like, he really and truly was. And, I'm so grateful that I trusted my intuition and was like, no, this is just not the right situation. It's not that Aya isn't right for us. It's that this is not the right situation. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I opened that gate and surrendered and said, just show me.
Bridge.
Yes. just show me. I'll walk tell me where I need to walk, and was just presented with pure magic. And it was also a great like life lesson to take with me. Like, stop trying to control and hold clenched tightly and make something work. Just open the gate and magic comes through. Oh, it was so beautiful. And I just love that space. And they just super take care of you. Like, oh my gosh, it was everything my soul needed.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. And that, that's like a really quick summary of the whole experience.
Oh, yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
You could talk for hours about your ceremony.
Yeah, exactly one. Yeah, literally one.
Yeah. Well, they say it's like a ceremony is like equivalent, one night of ceremony is equivalent to 10 years of therapy.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's probably super on point. Once I process that, I'm like, yeah, definitely.
Totally.
She cracked me open I would say like the 10 years of therapy is just, it's moving through the process, but at a much slower pace, which resonates more deeply with some people. But me personally, like, this is just my personal preference. I'm like, let's go in there, tiger. Let's go in there and let's get it. And let's see it. Let's look at it and let's smush our face in it and do all the things that need to be done.
And like, that brings up something for me of like, the way I connect with that and the way I understand like, 10 years of therapy in one night. It's all because of there's lots of reasons why, but I feel like a very important piece of that is the DMT, the dimethyltryptamine in the ayahuasca. Because the way I connect with DMT is that it's the spirit molecule, right? It's the most powerful psychedelic known to man. And it connects us to spirit and beyond death and beyond this physical reality. And more importantly, beyond space and time. So when you're in ceremony, there is no space and time. Everything just is unified. So when there's no time, it doesn't matter if you think you're healing 10 years of things or lifetimes of things, because it's all happening right now, right? And that's another, to segue, that's why I love the breath work, because DMT, a lot of people are like, I got to drink ayahuasca, I got to smoke DMT. DMT is found in every living being. It's found in everything, right? And breath work is how we activate the DMT within our bodies. I feel like the biggest job, at least from my understanding in this now moment, is one of the biggest jobs of the shaman is to they are given the ability, or they're given the teachings from the plants and from the spirits on how to work with the DMT and live in that and activate that with song and dance and speech and movement and all of the things.
So I understand that the breath can ignite your natural DMT. But for someone like a listener, maybe that like in that pause was just sitting there like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Well, can you explain? Because I'm not very good at explaining it. I just understand the experience. But can you explain at all why your breath would naturally activate your organic DMT within your own being?
Yes. So, and I'll do my best. I'll do the best that I can. But so first we start with, and we'll keep it really easy so we don't have to like put all these things together. We'll give just the building blocks we need. So the DMT is the spirit molecule, right? So spirit is everything, right? God, spirit, great spirit is everything and nothing, right? And you kind of have to have a little background in spirituality to understand that. But if they're listening to this, then I feel like they've gotten that
most
far,
likely
right?
they're my listeners, yeah.
Yeah, so spirit is everything and nothing. It's the spirit of existence of itself. So if DMT is the spirit molecule, then DMT is how we connect to spirit, right? And we think about what is spirit. Spirit is you feel someone's vibe, you take in the spirit. Like I have this stuff called agua de sedona. It's like a Florida water type of thing. It's like
I have some as well.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know what Florida water is, it's like alcohol based, and it has like plant essences in it. And essence is spirit. Essence and spirit are the same thing. Like the Sedona agua de Sedona, they say it has the spirit of Sedona in the bottle. What does that mean? The smells, the experience, the essence, right? So DMT is how we connect to the essence of creation and of the universe, right? And they also say in like yoga and like spiritual practices like that, that how what our spirit is also life force, right? Life force, energy is spirit. What is the most primordial form of life force available to us?
What was the
water?
word? You said like
Primordial.
What does that mean?
Which is just like eternal, like eternal, like always is, foundational. What's the most primordial, foundational form of life force available to us?
Definitely breath.
Breath.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when you're not breathing, you're probably stressed out. And when you're in, it's like cortisol and DMT are polarities of each other. So cortisol is the stress hormone. When you feel stressed, you feel disconnected, you feel pissed off, you don't feel like you're in love, right? You're creating the illusion that something is wrong and you're alone. Spirit is everything, and everything is connected, everything is one. So DMT is the opposite of cortisol. It's the connection to everything. Like someone goes into a ceremony, I just feel so connected to everyone, and I feel like I know you, and oh my God, I can feel the earth breathing. That's DMT, that's spirit, that's connection to all, right? So when we're breathing, we are literally, the plants are breathing, the trees are breathing. They're breathing in carbon dioxide and they're breathing out oxygen. That's why the Amazon jungle is the lungs of the earth, because it creates all this oxygen. What do? We breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. And then the carbon dioxide we breathe out goes back to the trees. And then the trees give us the oxygen. It's this back and forth. It's this complete connection, right? There's no separation between the plants and us. The plants can't survive without us. We can't survive without the plants, right? So, and then when you breathe in, what else do you experience? You experience smells. You smell the flowers. You smell the trees. You smell the plants. You breathe in the smell of an animal or of the wind or of the water, right? You're breathing in these essences and these experiences, right? And so the breath is how we connect with everything, right? There's a great thing to meditate on if you want to go deeper into this. Next time you meditate, focus on and meditate on the question of who is breathing me? Who is breathing me?
Shit, Josh.
Right?
I don't know who's breathing me.
Because this a lot of people identify with their body and their name and their job and their experience of reality. Mm-hmm. But we're just eternal, infinite souls, part and parcel of great spirit, of God, of the universe, whatever connects the most with you. And we are eternal, infinite souls. We are beings of consciousness and energy that have condensed themselves into physical matter, into a physical vessel to experience what it's like to be in the material universe. Mm-hmm. So this is just a vessel, right? A lot of people say, oh, I can feel my spirit in my body. No. Your body is in your spirit. Your body is in your soul. Your soul is infinite and expansive, right? Like we can connect with the idea of, oh my God, I feel so open and I feel so clear. I feel so connected. That's your energy being open. I feel stressed out and pissed off. That's your energy condensing and more materialized, more dense, right? This whole awakening we're going through is a raising in vibration, which is a letting go of the densities. And we could get into the law of one and the difference between first density, third density, fifth density, et cetera, but we won't go there today. So connecting that all back together, the breath, when we dive into a breathwork ceremony, a shamanic breathwork ceremony, or anything like that, we are focusing on our breath. We are focusing on, we think about it, if we stop breathing for 10 minutes, we're going to die. Like you can go a day or two without water, maybe 7 days without water, I think it is. You can go a good probably month without eating food. But you can't go more than 10 minutes or so without breathing. So that's like our direct connection to life. And what is life? Life is spirit. Osho, one of the spiritual teachers I love, he says God is a verb because God is everything, in everything, experience everything as itself, right? So the connection, the direct connection to source is through the breath. And the direct bridge in a chemical sense to source is DMT. So when we're focused completely on our breath, the DMT is liberated in our gut and in our lungs. Our lungs literally produce DMT. When we focus on that and we breathe in that way, our pineal gland processes and activates DMT. That's why it's the third eye. That's why we can have these spiritual visions with it. So when we focus and we dive completely into our breath, we dive completely into the flow of life force energy that is always present and always is, right? A lot of people will try to be like, my life is like this, my life sucks, and I can't do this thing, and this thing's not working. And there's all these beliefs and these emotions and these memories and these traumas. What is that? That's all energy, emotion, it's all energy and motion. So when we breathe, when we do breath work, we are moving energy, and energy and motion gets back into motion. If it's stagnant energy, then you're getting into death. But what happens when you die? You go back to spirit. You go back to the source of creation. So when we dive into breath work, we come into this beautiful space of like we can tap into that which is beyond death, that which is beyond life, that which is eternal and ever present. And the more we activate that, the more the DMT the body starts to understand how to operate this DMT and how to use it on a regular basis. And this is where our psychic abilities come from. This is where clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance comes from. It's the more DMT that's in the body, because the more DMT that's in the body and working in the body on a normal basis, the more we are connected to spirit, because it's the bridge to spirit. And the more we're connected to spirit, the more we can connect to that which is beyond time and space. And the more we can be connected to spirit, that's connected to everything. And I feel like that's a good closing bow, cherry on top.
Absolutely. No, that's a great way to close. But I would also like, thank you so much for sharing that, for starters. And I would also love you to share, your offerings and the things, like I know I saw you have a free shamanic ceremony breathwork gathering coming up. What are your offerings? What are the things that anyone that's listening that's like, oh my gosh, this guy is blowing my mind. I feel so connected to him. I got to find him. Obviously I'll go ahead and drop, is your Instagram the best link to drop below?
Yes. So my Instagram's Joshua Micheal 1147, but you'll see it in the description. And then that's where, if you go to my bio, you'll see all the offerings and you watch my content and have all these things come through. But what I wanted to highlight is two things. Number one, you said the free online breathwork ceremony. Those are every single week. Right now they're on Tuesdays, but they're going to be shifting to Mondays. So just go into the bio. You'll see what the available times and days are. So if you're like, I don't know about this breathwork, I want to experience it, but I don't know if I want to pay for anything yet, like anything like that, then come join the free breathwork ceremony and dive in and just have this powerful awakening, right? And then if you're like, I'm ready to dive in, I'm ready to transform, I'm ready to fucking level up, right?
It's the truth, though.
Yeah, there's what's called the Shamanic Awakening Initiation, and it's a group transformation program. It's 3 months. And it's weekly lessons. We go through 3 modules. Number 1 is healing the past, which allows us to take our power back fully, which moves us into the second module, the second month, which is reconnection to source. And reconnection to source really focuses on marrying the left and right brain hemispheres, marrying the masculine and feminine within ourselves, activating the chakras, activating the third eye, and the flow of the DMT that we were talking about, and all of this, which is, it's not illegal, it's not, oh my God, it's natural. This is like human. This is who we are, right? So activating that on a really powerful, deep level, and reconnection to source, right? Because once we're connected to creator and source, we can do anything and co-create anything, because source is everything. And if we're connected to everything, then there's nothing we can't do. So then to segue off of that, we dive fully into the third module, which is living in miracle and purpose and passion. And this is where we get into divine timing and synchronicity and literally experiencing magic happen, right? Like as a silly little example, last night I was like, man, I really want some pizza. And then I fell asleep. And when I woke up, we're staying with a friend right now. They ordered pizza and they had a piece of pizza left. Right? So this is what I'm talking about synchronicity. It's like silly little shit like that. Even something as small as that or something even bigger. Yeah. Like it's living in synchronicity and living in the present moment and listening to spirit, listening to spirit and source come through other people and places and things and dogs and animals and plants and all of this. And we do this through two kind of, don't lick the computer, go out. Don't eat the hey, hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
And, yeah, so the way this unfolds, it's really beautiful. So there's 15 spots open for whoever feels called to this powerful work. And it happens on two kind of levels. There's the first level, or not the first level, but the first aspect of the program is the weekly lessons. So that's delivered via video. And then there's the weekly live calls. And the weekly live calls, we're going to be doing shamanic breath work. We're going to be talking about the plant teachers. We're going to be talking about getting everyone up to speed on the lessons that the videos, right? And getting everyone in tune with the vibration of the week. And then questions and answers and breath work and talking about whatever comes up and processing together and all of that. And then kind of how it's going to unfold is like every month is one module. There'll be 4 lessons in a month because 4 weeks. There'll be 4 live calls. 3 of those will focus on breath work. And then 1 of those will be the integration where it'll be mostly the questions and answers and the integration and that sort of thing. Kind of like an ayahuasca ceremony with the integration and all that. And and then there's also like a beautiful bonus called the Breathwork Toolkit, which you get immediately after you sign up. And that has 10 breathwork techniques that are my personal favorite and I've used for the last 5 years. And there's really short little videos to break each of them down. And there's like best practices and like this one's really good for digestion. This one's really good for DMT activation. This one's really good for this. And like diving into that. So you always have this breathwork toolkit to dive into whenever you need to as a supplement and as a bonus to all of the other work. And there's also the private Facebook group where everyone will connect and like-minded souls and all of that. So that's the Shamanic Awakening Initiation. I won't bore you guys too much with the details. Just kidding. But if you're interested, yes, please reach out to me on Instagram. The spots will fill up quick. I just signed another person up yesterday. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with you today. This was amazing.
Yeah, and that sounds amazing. Breathwork is so powerful, and it's really something that you can like learn, like, you know, from like you post videos and all that kind of stuff. But when you really have someone to, like you said, break it down and like help you, guide you through it, there's a learning curve, like there's a learning bridge to it. So having assistance is golden.
Yes.
So thank you for providing that here in the Earth Plane.
Yes.
And yes, this is so wonderful. I wasn't sure how the conversation was going to go, just flow. You know, I didn't know what we were going to talk about, but I'm so grateful for it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for hopping on and giving us and gifting us your time and your energy. Truly, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I love podcasts. I love these conversations. They're always so magical and beautiful.
Yes, absolutely.
And thank you for everything you do. Thank you for reaching out and asking me. And like, it's such an honor to be here and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, sincerely. All right, guys, I will drop all of Josh's information below in the show notes if you would like to connect with him. And just thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. I appreciate you deeply, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review. And if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.